Hi and welcome, this is Jennifer McGuire. Today I'm going to show 5 ways to use background dies. Now since background dies are big, they tend to be pricey in comparison to other dies, so I think it's really important to think of many ways to use them. There are lots of things that you can do with background dies, but I'm going to focus on 5 today and I hope that they inspire you. I'm also using all My Favorite Things products today in honor of My Favorite Things' 10th birthday. I remember meeting the owner Kim many years ago at a trade show, and I've always been impressed with her kindness. Okay, so here is the background die that I'm going to focus on today, but you could use any sort of background die for many of these techniques. This is a new one from My Favorite Things. I love that it cuts these polka dots across a background. Let's dive into the 5 ideas and then at the end of this video, finish them off into cards. The first idea is to create a die-cut gatefold card design. So you can see here that the front of the card is see-through thanks to that background die. Then there is a panel inside and then another inside that where you can write your message. Now there are many ways to do a gatefold card design. I'm going to show you my favorite today. I have 2 colors of pool cardstock. One is blue raspberry and the other is summer splash. These are from My Favorite Things. I have cut them into side folding 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note cards. So you can see the score line that I've created there. Now you can just glue these together like this, and then you can have a gatefold. So you glue the backs together and you would have a gatefold opening. But I have a different way that I like to do it, and I'm going to show you that today. This would be the simple way. Mine takes a little bit more effort, but I think the results are better. So what I'm going to do is cut off part of the back of each of these cards. So there's just a 1-inch flap on the side of each of these cards. So you'll see I'm going to cut about 3 1/4 inches off the back of these cards. I have a piece of white cardstock, just a plain piece of white cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5.5, and that will actually be the inside of my card. And I'll glue those little flaps that we cut to the back of that. This way the inside of my card is white and everything fits together nicely. Before we put our card together, we need to die cut the front of our card. So I'm lining this up centered onto the front of the lighter pool piece. You can see that 1-inch flap hanging off to the side there. I'm going to line this up and run this through my die cut machine. If you find your background dies aren't cutting nicely, you can use a metal shim under there. I find that's always helpful. But look how beautifully this die cut, and all those little circles I'm going to save for the inside of a shaker card later. I'm putting some strong tape onto that flap of that card that we just die cut, and I'm going to glue this to one side on the back of that white piece. Again, this white piece is just a regular piece of cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5. Okay, so now I have my front panel on here. I love how you can see through that. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. I'm not going to die cut this one, but I'm going to glue this to the back on the other side of that white piece. So now we have a gatefold design. Again, you could do it how I showed you earlier. We just glued the 2 cards together, but I really like that white panel on the inside. You could leave it like this, but I do put another piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white cardstock on the back just to cover up the back. And now we have a nice clean looking card and you can see through the front of it. Okay, so now we're moving on to the second technique. This one is to create a stencil with your background dies. Now there are many things you can do with stencils, but I'm going to show you one of my favorite today. It works especially well with this polka dot stencil that we're going to create. I like to create my stencils out of vellum because you can see through it, or some sort of transparency or acetate. Here I have a piece of 6x6 vellum that I created. I like to use a heavyweight vellum for this, but you could use cardstock if that's all you have. That'd work fine too. So I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. The vellum cuts beautifully, and then we have our own stencil, polka dot stencil. I'm going to use this once, but you could save it and use it multiple times if you wanted to. I have a top folding 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card here, just white cardstock that I'm taping behind my stencil just to hold it in place. I'm using a sponge dauber to kind of twist dots of color into each of these little holes. And I'm using a variety of colors of My Favorite Things dye inks. You could instead use a stencil brush or ink blending tool here. You could mist maybe some color over it. You could do whatever you want here. I thought the sponge daubers would be easy to use with these dots. So think of all the techniques you do with stencils. You can create your own stencils using background dies and use those techniques here. This is a shimmer mist that I'm spraying on top. I'm spraying it from far above, about 2.5 feet above, about 6 or 7 times, and letting the mist fall down. And then I'm going to carefully remove my stencil, and now we'll have shimmer on each of those little dots. You want to make sure to heat set that so it doesn't smear, and look at the beautiful shine that you get on each of those dots. You could skip the shine if you wanted to. Here's a pink card that I also made. Lila wanted me to do the same technique in pink. So you can see how you can use the stencil a few times to create a bunch of different backgrounds. Okay, so now technique number 3. This is to create a dry embossed background. I think people often forget that they can use their dies to make impressions on cardstock, not only to cut it. So I wanted to share that today. I have my Big Shot here. I'm going to set it up how I would when I use embossing folders, and that's where I use tab 1 on my Big Shot. You could do this with any die cut machine. Just set up your machine how you would embossing folders. Then you need an embossing pad. This allows you to use dies for embossing. So you put that down first onto your cutting plate, then you put down your cardstock and then the die on top of that. And because you have that embossing pad in there, you will get an impression into your paper instead of cutting it. If you don't have an embossing pad, you could try this with felt or craft foam. Sometimes you can get results that way, but an embossing pad is very inexpensive and definitely good to have in your craft room. And check out that dimension that you get. It's just beautiful and works great with most background dies. This brings us to the 4th technique, which is to use the positive pieces of the background die cut to add dimension. So you can see all these dots here on the card, they're raised, which really makes the card come to life. So I have a piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch pool color cardstock here. This is the blue raspberry color. I'm going to die cut that with the background die. However, instead of just pulling it off the cutting plate, I'm going to take it and kind of slide it off so all those dots stay inside the die. See how all those dots are there? If any of them come out, you can just put them back in place. Now I am going to put a piece of foam adhesive on the back of each of these dots. It does seem a little crazy to do, but it doesn't take that long, and it creates a really dynamite background. So say you had a bunch of die cut stripes, you can put double-sided tape behind those, whatever, or you can skip the double-sided foam tape and instead just do flat adhesive. So after I have all those dots down, I need to remove the release paper from them, and now I can put this onto a note card. So I have a top folding 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card, and I'm going to place that right on top of all that exposed adhesive. So I'm going to press that down very firmly. I still have my die in there, so I'm going to peel my die away slowly and carefully, and the dots will stay behind. In fact, the whole negative space of the dots will actually stay behind too, so you can just remove that and check out the cool results that you get. And you can use that negative space for another card. You can add dimension to a background with that if you wanted to, but I just love these raised dots. It just looks great, and it really doesn't take that much time. The 5th and final idea is to do a glitter inlay background. I love doing inlay where you put the positive pieces back into the negative space for an inlay look. Well, a variation to that is to put glitter in the open spaces. So I have a die cut background and a top folding note card here, and I've cut a piece of double-sided tape. This is Be Creative tape, and I'm going to put that on the front of the card. So I'm covering pretty much the front of the entire card. So I'm going to put that piece down and then remove the other side of the release paper here. So now I have a note card where the entire front is covered with double-sided tape. Now I'm going to take that die cut background and place that right on the front of the card also. And notice that the dots have that adhesive exposed. So I'm putting the release paper back over it just so I can press it down without getting my fingers in the adhesive. Now it's time to add some glitter. To this, I'm going to put some new glitter to me. This is the Nuvo Pure Glitter. It's super fine. I wanted to try it out. And so I'm going to pour this over the entire front of this card. This is like an iridescent glitter, which works great with whatever color cardstock you have beneath. It'll show some of that cardstock through. That's why I think this type of glitter is one that's good to have in your stash because it works with lots of different colors. using my finger to rub that glitter in, and then I'm going to tap the background off, get off any of the excess glitter. Now the key to working with glitter is to have a Swiffer dusting cloth nearby. It's a dry dusting cloth. It's a product you can get at the grocery store. And I use that to quickly clean up any excess glitter that's on my work surface and on my project. I'm going to rub all that glitter in firmly with the bone folder just so I can press all the glitter in there and it won't come off. Now I'm going to take that Swiffer dusting cloth and wipe off all the excess glitter, and this stuff won't come off now. It'll stay put. You won't have a glittery mess anymore. And really the results are beautiful. So I'm going to hold this up so you can see the shine, but keep in mind, in that exposed adhesive, we could have put a variety of different things. We could have put cardstock dots, we could have put sequins, we could have put other embellishments, but I think that glitter is really pretty. So those are 5 techniques for using background dyes. There are many more things you can do, but I wanted to cover 5 today. Now I wanted to quickly show you how I pulled these cards together. I stamped a bunch of images and took them to a baseball game to color, and I wanted to show you the images I used. This is a new stamp set called Barry's Special Birthday. This is new from My Favorite Things in celebration of their 10th birthday. I used some of the bear images from that set. I also used some pigs from this one, the pig holding the cupcake, along with the ham it up on your birthday greeting. Now you'll see that I stamped the fox from this stamp set and also the unicorn from this stamp set, but I actually didn't use these on the cards. But I wanted to show you since you'll see me stamp them here. I took all of those images that I wanted to stamp and I put them into my Misty. This is a stamping tool that makes stamping easier and faster. You could use an acrylic block by all means here. And I've put in some Copic-friendly Neenah white cardstock into my Misty. I am stamping these with My Favorite Things black hybrid ink because that's Copic-friendly. Now I stamped it once and it's a little bit too light, so I'm going to ink it up and stamp it again. The Misty makes that easy to do double stamping. So now I have a bunch of images that I can take with me to a baseball game and color. So I did all the coloring on these, and now I just wanted to show you how the cards came together a little bit. For the Gatefold Card design, I stamped a greeting with Versamark ink and added some silver glitter embossing powder to it. This is just a little white cardstock strip that will go on the front of the card, and I'll show you the stamp set here in a moment. Remember that the front of our Gatefold card has little holes in it. You can see through it. So I'm going to glue that little strip right to the front, and this will allow us to have a hidden place on the next layer of the Gatefold where we can stamp another greeting. I like to stamp greetings inside my cards also. Using some foam tape to tape our little bear up so he kind of pops up, I'm having him hang off the edge. So I'll put this in an envelope that's a little bit bigger. Now I wanted to add some shine to my little bear, so I'm using my Wink of Stella clear shimmer pen to color all of this image right over my Copic marker. You could use this over any color marker that you may have or any type of marker you may have. Just make sure that it doesn't bleed when you add it. Adds a beautiful shimmer. Now here's the stamp set that I'm using for the greetings. This is another new one from My Favorite Things. I'm going to stamp the happy birthday greeting from this one in the inside of the card behind that white strip. And I'm going to white heat emboss that. So now when you close the card, you can see the greeting on the front. Then you can open it up to the next greeting, and then you have a place to write on the inside. I really love doing Gatefold cards. Okay, so I wanted to make the nose and eyes pop on this little bear, so I'm adding some dots with my Nouveau Black. That's a newer product to me, and I did that on all of these, and it really makes their eyes and nose stand out. I used glossy accents on the icing of the cake, and there you can see the shine and the dimension that you get with all of those products. Moving on to the next card, this is the one where I did the dry embossing on the background. I actually did it again with a bigger piece to cover more of my card. I'm using the Make-A-Wish sentiment from this new My Favorite Things stamp set. This one allows you to build birthday cakes. I think it's really beautiful. I'm just going to use the sentiment from it. I die cut a rectangle piece here, and I'm going to stamp and clear heat emboss the sentiment on the bottom of it. And then I will use double-sided tape to adhere a little colored bear towards the top. Now on this one, I wanted a lot of shine on that silver ribbon, so I'm using my Spectrum Noir clear sparkle pen. This is like the Wink of Stella shimmer pen, but it has more sparkle in it, and I really wanted more sparkle in this example. I also added some of the Nouveau Black accents to his eyes and his nose to give it a bit of dimension. You could also use glossy accents there, but I like that this product is actually black. For the last two cards, I just want to show you what I did because a lot of it is the same. Here I used the pig image that has the cupcake. I added a party hat on top of his head with a little pom-pom glued on top, and I just glued this all onto those raised dots on the front of the card. So you can see I used the Nuvo black dots on his eyes to make them kind of stand out a bit, and a little bit of shimmer on the presents and his party hat. I kept the last card quite simple. I die cut a circle, added the little bear coming out of a present, and stamped a greeting below that, and just put that with pop dots on the front of that stenciled background card. And again, I used some shimmer pen on the ribbon on this image. Okay, so there you have 5 ways to use a background die. I hope this inspires you to find ways to use those background dies creatively. If you are interested in the products I use, I always link them in my YouTube description below, or more information is over on my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com. I have a giveaway there too. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and in the middle are 2 other videos that might be of interest. The first one shows a glitter die cut background, kind of like we did today, but stepped up a bit. And then the second one shows how to dry emboss with die cut images. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll come back soon.